'Twas a blustery night, one October evening, when two devious fellows got together to scheme and discuss around the fire. Computer. And though their conversations may seem jovial in nature, the content of these musings around the fire are actually quite harrowing indeed. David, what the fuck are you wearing?
I have a ghost shirt on.
I told you to wear something Halloween-y.
And I did. Look, he's in a pumpkin. The nightmare has only just begun.
I meant like a costume.
I don't have a costume.
I meant like dressed.
I don't have a costume. You said Halloween-y, so I got a Halloween-y shirt. You didn't say costume.
Well, how am I supposed to go plus ultra now? How am I supposed to fight using the power of friendship if I can't even?
I don't know, bro. What? I ain't in UA high. Sounds like a personal problem.
Welcome to episode. We're going to talk about this later. Welcome to episode 18 of the Too Bad We Didn't Get Into Cars podcast. I am your host, Nick Scarpinato.
And I am David Kapusha Cars.
Oh God.
And
this is our lovely co-host Vanessa. Vanessa, say hi. Are you not in costume either? Get the I can't throw her. I can't even throw her as a joke. She's just gonna sit here in my lap the whole time. And on your screen.
Yes, today we are joined in person by this rare HTF Matchbox 1921 Model T Ford Halloween Vampire Dracula Woe car.
Wait, you're pronouncing it wrong. It's wah
car. Yes.
Wah car.
Yeah, also welcome to the first remote episode.
Yeah, so David and I we are starting to realize that this is a very valid option for us to record episodes. This is the first time that we're trying it, obviously. So, we're gonna see how this thing goes, and we're gonna make it work, and it's gonna be either awesome or really fucking bad.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great.
So what have you been up to?
Being sick of. I went to Nashville for my birthday.
Oh my God! Happy belated birthday.
Woo!
To David.
Yeah, bro. Have a whole.
How old are you, buddy?
I'm 27.
No, you're not.
And just
there's no way.
Not giving a shit anymore.
That's what it says on his cake too. When he got his cake, it says "Happy 27th."
I didn't get
birthday.
A cake. I had a motherfucking ice cream pizza. It was incredible.
What
I would never have cake again if it meant I can always have that.
I mean, you don't have to eat cake ever again. You could just continue eating.
It's true.
Ice cream cakes or ice cream pizzas.
Yeah, and I will. But
where did you get it from?
Baskin Robbins.
Oh, of course. Now I did know that. I could have made an educated guess. I remember there was a point where I was looking for an ice cream cake, and I tried to go through Baskin Robbins. I never ended up getting it. I went to Jewel instead, and I got a really not shittily made ice cream cake, but it was like mostly frosting. It was very disappointing, and I had to eat the whole thing anyway. So I think,
yeah.
Hey man, my birthday's coming up. I might.
Bro, it was straight up just a diabetes pizza.
Oh, I can't
it was like a cookie dough crust with cookies and cream ice cream.
Stop.
And then on top it was marshmallow topping, chopped almonds, M&Ms, Oreo pieces, Reese's pieces, sprinkles, and caramel, I believe. It was it was fucking amazing. Not gonna lie. Holy shit.
I think I'm gonna have to call 911. I just.
Yeah, honestly,
I'm at a loss.
the first piece I struggled to finish it, but after that, I can eat like 3. No big deal.
So is it just that initial hurdle that you have to?
Yeah.
Is it like an emotional thing where you have to like? There's a lot of guilt.
No,
so
it
you
was
have to just get
physical.
through the first
Like
one.
I couldn't physically consume it, but I did anyway.
Yeah, like a champ, like a fucking our very own David Kapushkars, everybody.
I don't regret it at all. But yeah, I have a whole mini documentary on Nashville.
That's right.
On my channel, and the full version is my band's channel. It's like a half-hour long.
Calloused Wing.
It's hardcore.
Shout out Calloused Wing.
Woo. Yeah, bro. We went for the whole weekend. Went down to Broadway. Saw like 1 million people playing.
Yeah.
The lines were incredibly long. It was like Disneyland level lines.
Like for the concert or just in general?
To get into some of these like bars. It's nuts.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah, for any of our Cars fans, I don't know what we're calling our fans. I don't know. But we did recently hit a milestone, semi-milestone, where all of our episodes on Anchor have been listened to. Let me see if I can pull it up. Ah!
Yeah, the browser brightness is no joke. Ah! I'm blind!
Okay. Check this out. So, every single episode has at least two listens. The episode that didn't have a listen for a really long time was episode 4, which was Moon Knight and Doctor Strange. It was the very generic one, right? So it's Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, and then concert venues and mobile games. So like, yeah. Do you want to guess what our most listened to episode is?
Still the first one, isn't it?
No. That's our most viewed on YouTube, but I want you to guess which of our episodes has the most listens. And it's close. There are a couple.
Is it how about episode 11, my favorite?
Studio 666, Foo Fighters and Guitar Hero?
Oh no, just random number.
Oh. No, think what's the most mainstream TV show that you ask anyone what their favorite show is? And they'll say it.
What did we talk about? Was it The Office?
Yeah. Episode 7, we talked about The Office, Metallica, and Gears of War.
Ooh.
And it's got 12 listens.
Woohoo!
But you know what's weird? Episodes 7, 8, and 9 currently hold the record for most listens. Because we have 12 for episode 7. Then we did Rescue Rangers, Def Leppard, and Earthbound. We have 10 listens. And then we did Inside, Harry Styles, and Animal Crossing, and we have 11 listens.
Wow.
Yeah, and then after that, it's very sporadic. The last 3 that we posted, all of the Pokemon ones only have 3 listens. They're probably the same 3 people, honestly. So thank you for listening.
Yeah.
If you were one of those 3. I think one of them is my friend Lenny. Shout out to Lenny.
Hey, Alma.
Hey, Alma.
How about a breakfast churro?
Breakfast churro. Hey, Alma.
I think I saw him down at the Quickie Mart. More breakfast churros for Lenny.
Yeah, they say that the guy down the street, they say the man is happier with 3 knives. No, I think you're thinking the phrase 3 knives. And then it cuts to Mo, and he's like, oh, yeah, this is great. And he's got 3 knives.
No, that was just what he says in Hit and Run. In the mission where you got to blow up Smithers' car.
The churro line, he says it in Hit and Run?
Yeah, you meet him at the Krusty Burger. And he's like, hey, Alma, how about a breakfast churro? It's the first thing he says.
Hey, Alma. Hey, Alma.
And then Homer's like, no time. Quick, where does Smithers go? I think I saw him out at the Quickie Mart. More breakfast churros for Lenny. If I gotta take him out, I gotta need something big. I wonder if Barney still has the plow. And then
Why? I vaguely remember.
And then you could talk to Barney. Not what I'll use for a toilet.
What?
Oh, that's a different mission. Anyway.
So thank you to all of our listeners and viewers for dealing with our sporadic posting schedule. Yeah, it's funny that we have to ask each other what we've been up to, because I don't know, man. A lot of things are happening. Personally, I'm playing a lot more shows. I'm working a lot less at the coffee shop, which is cool. But I'm also kind of in the middle of figuring out where I'm going to live soon. My roommates and I found an apartment like 10 minutes away from ours. That's the current price of our apartment now, but our current apartment is going to go up by $300 if we don't move out. And it's got the same square footage, and it's a townhouse, but it doesn't have the loft. So, I don't know. Is this boring content? I don't fucking care. This is our podcast. We get to talk about whatever we want. I don't care no more. I don't care. Remember when we started the podcast and I was like, maybe we shouldn't swear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we just don't fuck.
Yeah, you also mentioned that at some point before, too.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I remember when we weren't swearing on the main podcast, but then we...
Yeah, honestly, it's partly because I feel like not that no one's listening, but it's not like kids are listening to the podcast.
No one's complained about it, so who gives a shit?
Yeah, right. Yeah, the same people that are listening to the Cars pod are listening to Bill Burr's podcast.
Yeah, right.
Everyone has a fucking podcast, but this is our podcast, and we're talking about what we want. So what we want to talk about today, we just finished watching Werewolf by Night, the new Marvel Studios special presentation on Disney Plus, just in time for Halloween. We recently had a concert experience that we both went to Detroit for, so we get to talk about Detroit, Michigan, and the bands that we got to see.
Yeah.
And we're continuing our journey along the Pokemon timeline. The next generation that we have to discuss is Gen 4, which is the generation that brought us games like Pearl, Diamond, Platinum, the sequels to the Mystery Dungeon games, Rangers... What?
I don't know.
Shadow of Almia.
Yeah.
Pokemon Ranger, the sequel to Pokemon Ranger as well, and then Pokemon Dash, right?
No, that was the last time. HeartGold, SoulSilver 2. So, wow.
HeartGold and SoulSilver, yeah. So we got a little bit to dig into. But first and foremost, I think we got to talk about what's freshest on both of our minds. Because when did you finish Werewolf by Night?
I don't know, like 3 hours ago?
Okay, because I just finished it before I got on our first call. So Marvel announced that they were going to do a Werewolf by Night adaptation like a year ago, maybe a year or two ago, when they announced Phase 4. And
did they announce
at
that conference? Because I thought it just dropped the trailer like randomly like a couple weeks ago.
I feel like there was...
I don't remember ever hearing about this thing before the trailer dropped.
I remember hearing it around the same time that I knew they were developing a Moon Knight show. I just didn't know if it would what it was going to be. Like no one knew if it was going to be a show or a movie or whatever. But
it's neither.
Because it's neither. Yeah, it's because it's kind of an unknown property. I think what Marvel is trying to do with their lesser-known properties is, the ones that they don't... It's only happened the one time, right? Like, we only have one so far. But there's a rumor that Nova is supposed to be a limited, like a special presentation too, and that's, like, set in space. And there's the Nova Corps, who we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy. But there's a specific hero in Marvel called Nova, and he's just, like, the main guy, the face of the Nova Corps, I guess. I don't know. It's very Green Lantern-esque, so we'll see how that goes if that gets announced ever. But this special is directed by Michael Giacchino, who is famously a composer for movies like Up, Ratatouille, Spider-Man, like the Far From Home, Homecoming trilogy, the Incredible soundtrack. He did the soundtrack for the show Lost. So he's a very credited composer, but he is the director here. And he also did the music, obviously. But he is directing this special presentation, and it's filmed in black and white. It is an homage to the Universal Monsters collection, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon.
No, it's just Marvel Studios presents the Wolfman. That's what we're doing
pretty much. But yeah, the story follows it's sort of a continuation of the supernatural side of the MCU, where eventually we're going to meet Blade and Ghost Rider and Mephisto and these characters that have to do with evil magic and monsters and stuff like that.
Dude, I can't believe who they got for Mephisto. Holy shit.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, man. I mean, it's going to be cool. But we're introduced to the Bloodstone family. I only knew about Elsa Bloodstone because of a Marvel mobile game that I played a couple years ago, Marvel Future Fight. Shout out to Netmarble. Netmarble. And she is a monster hunter who gets invited to this hunt, I guess, being held by the patriarch of the Bloodstone family who passes away. And the Bloodstone, this gem that's the namesake of the family, and has supernatural properties that makes it so that monsters can't touch it. I don't know what it does exactly. But it's a very interesting concept for a short. It kind of feels like a very condensed movie. Like you jump right into the plot. Like there's no exposition. I feel like if there was a movie, there might have been a whole like half hour where we're getting introduced to the main guy, Jack, and like the family, and maybe you see like the funeral or whatever. But it just cuts right to the action, like the middle part of a movie. And so pros and cons with that. Obviously, you get into the action pretty early on. You get to the fun. There's not a whole lot of fat to trim. But on the other side, there's also not really a whole lot of character development, which I guess at this point doesn't really matter. But you get a little bits. First of all, what did you think about Jack, the werewolf in question?
I mean, I thought they were all kind of fine. I was not expecting there to be a secondary monster in the form of a mini Cthulhu.
Yeah, Man-Thing, which gets compared to Swamp Thing from DC a lot because they both look very similar. But yeah, Man-Thing, aka Ted. Teddy. He's like, they find he's probably the most interesting character in this show because he's not like, he doesn't speak. But Jack, the main character, can still understand him. We don't know what their history is, but they're friends.
Yeah.
And Jack calls him Ted. So at some point, Man-Thing must have been able to communicate to Jack, like, hey, my name is Ted. So I don't know anything about Man-Thing. But yeah, he's just able to grab people and, like, disintegrate them. What the fuck was that about?
That's hardcore.
Yeah, he disintegrates a dude's head. He grabs the dude by his head, and then it just melts and, like, explodes.
And then the lady at the end, too.
Yeah, that was kind of a cool moment. Like a Deus Ex Machina, like everything kind of works out.
Two standout moments. The first one was when he was transforming into the werewolf. And you can see Lady...
Elsa,
like terrified by the bar, and you can see like it's like flashing, and you see him transforming through the light in the back. I thought that was sick. And second of all, when there was like a door closing, and he was like slicing dudes apart, and like the blood was like getting onto the camera. That was really cool.
Yeah, there's also a lot of blood in this show. I feel like they're able to get away with it because it was in black and white. That might be part of it, but like there are 2 times where a character gets dismembered and they get thrown around, and you could see the blood coming from like their dismembered, like arm or whatever, like splatter. And I'm like, that's sick. That's really cool.
Yeah, like someone's arm gets taken off, and like it like kind of like does a spin because they like spin the arm, and it just like shoots like a sprinkler.
Yeah, and I was like, when I saw that, I was like, whoa. And I had seen the scene where Jack the werewolf, where he's just like taking out those dudes in like the hallway. It's very reminiscent of like a hallway fight from Daredevil, where it's like the camera is static and there's just a lot of like motion on screen.
Oh fuck, dude! Next episode. I gotta talk about She-Hulk.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk about She-Hulk next episode.
That's gonna be a doozy.
Yeah, but yeah, I what did you think about the end? Where so the whole like the whole, I don't even want to call it a movie. The whole time, the only thing on screen, the only object on screen that's in color is the bloodstone, which is colored red, which is cool. I also like the effects, the special effects that they use to indicate the power of the bloodstone. It's very like, I don't know how to describe it, but if you've ever seen like lightning in like an 80s movie, like that's special effects, it looked a lot like that, where it was like vintage special effects used, like when the bloodstone is being used to transform Jack into the werewolf, it comes out like lightning. It's like, but it doesn't look like good CGI. It looks like very campy, like 80s, like 70s CGI. It's very cool. How it fits the format of black and white. But anyway, you get to the end of the special, and slowly everything starts to fade back into like full color, and then you get a scene at the end where Ted and Jack are, having escaped the compound where this hunting ceremony is happening. They're just camping out, and Ted gets to chat with, Jack, and he's like, what are you talking about? I'm the one that came to your rescue, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a line about Jack is like, oh dude, I can't even think about food right now. Don't. But yeah, I'll get sushi. And I was like, sushi? That's weird. That's a weird little line, but yeah, I thought that was cool. Just like slowly how everything, faded into color. And apparently the Man Thing like used practical effects. Like they built the entire like upper part of his body like out of practical effects. I don't know. I'd have to find the photo, but it looks really cool. It looks really intricate. He's got little mushrooms growing out of his shoulders and stuff.
Yeah, and then meanwhile, hey, let's CGI Mr. Fantastic suit, because why not?
Yeah, it just goes to show. I mean, maybe it's the fact that this is like a shorter format, but yeah, I really liked it. I really liked Werewolf by Night. I would definitely watch it again. It's definitely like it's a short and sweet like Halloween time thing to watch, Yeah. Yeah, and it even sets the tone like where you start it up, and like recently Marvel's been doing this thing where they alter the opening theme song. And how they did it this time was it starts in color, and then like there's like a slash on the screen, and then it goes into black and white, and then like the sound is like an old like time horror like orchestra, and then there's like another slash, and then they even have they have a title card at the end of the short that looks like a movie title card from like the 20s where it says Marvel Studios Werewolf by Night, and then it has like the Roman numeral like the MMXX like to, I don't know, it's very overtly an homage to like the old Universal movies, and I think there's a charm to it that I honestly don't think any of the Marvel shows or Disney Plus Marvel things have been able to capture, except maybe WandaVision. But yeah, so like overall, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it too. I actually just kind of wish there was more to it, because it is just like this. It's like 48 minutes minus the credits, you know.
Yeah.
Like it ends really abruptly, which the old movies used to do that too. Like the climax was the end, and the whole epilogue was like a line or two, and then the end pops up, and it's like, wow, that ended quickly. This is no exception, so I'm assuming that's exactly why they did it like that too, since this entire thing is just kind of, let's go back to the 40s.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I liked it a lot. I'm definitely gonna watch it again. I think I'm gonna try to show like my mom, because I don't think she's not a big horror movie person, but I was telling her that me and you were gonna watch it, and she was like, "What's that?" You know, always judgmental. My mom is always judgmental when I mention like a show or a thing to her, but she'll still watch it anyway. And if it's anime, she'll disregard it entirely. But if it's something superhero related, oh fuck, do we have to see Black Adam?
Yeah.
We gotta talk about Black Adam
I suppose,
too.
Yeah. Gotta see Black Adam.
Yeah, all right, we got our work cut out for us. So anyway,
we gotta see Orange Anthony.
Orange Anthony.
Green Bryant, yeah.
Yeah. White David.
Oh, dude, it's fucking racist.
Sorry, Polish David.
Yeah, co to powiedział?
Co to powiedział? So anyway, Werewolf by Night, a solid 3 out of 5. I know we've never ranked anything out of 5 before, but it feels right.
Yeah, I give it like a 9 out of 13, you know?
Awkward rating systems aside, let's talk about our trip to Detroit.
Dude, we went to Detroit. What a
which is probably
shithole.
Yeah, it going to Detroit was a more harrowing experience than watching Werewolf by Night. There's just something about when we first pulled up in Detroit, like, and we weren't in downtown Detroit, you know, we were. So, backstory. There is a band that we've talked about on the show before named Origami Angel, who, if you watch that episode or if you're familiar with the band, you're very aware that they, it's just 2 guys, a drummer and a guitarist who sings. They're both into Pokemon. They're both into nerdy things. A lot of their song titles are puns, like Tom Hall and Oates. You got Bossa Nova Core. Huh?
Bed Bath and Batman Beyond.
Yeah, Bed Bath and Batman Beyond. They include little tags.
Danny's DeVito.
Danny DeVito. They include little tags from like shows and movies and stuff at the outros of their songs. One of which being Terry Tate, linebacker.
Yeah, we got Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle in there.
Yeah, so it's like all things that we're familiar with, like us two are familiar with, and it's a drummer and a guitarist, and the drummer plays fucking blast beats, and the guitarist plays like tappy, you know, melodic stuff and sings and uses really interesting chord progressions and stuff. It's literally a band made for David and I.
Yeah.
So we got to see them once tour with the Wonder Years, and they, much to our surprise, had a way bigger fan base than we thought going into the concert. So much so that they were able to book their own tour not like 3 months after their Wonder Years tour ended. Once we saw that they were coming to Chicago in between both of our birthdays, between October 14th and October 26th, we were like, we gotta go. However, we didn't buy the tickets to the Chicago show at the Bottom Lounge quick enough, which were $15 at the time of release.
Because fool us that we thought we had time, because how big can this band be?
Yeah, we should have.
Very big is the answer. They sold out. They even sold out the Detroit show.
Yeah, they've sold out. I think Washington D.C. They've sold out Chicago. They've sold out Seattle or Detroit. I'm sure they're going to sell out LA when they go to LA. But I don't know. It's just really cool to see. We're watching this band like grow in real time. But the Detroit show and the Chicago show were right next to each other. So last night was the Chicago show on the 22nd. But the night before, they had come from Canada and they were in Detroit on the 21st. I looked up ticket prices for the Detroit show and saw that as opposed to the $100 ticket prices that were now being resold for the Chicago show, the resold Detroit show tickets were like $20. So I was like, hey man, we're going to be spending the same amount of money. Do you want to take the scenic route or do you want to, just go to the bottom line of Chicago? So we decided that we were going to drive to Detroit, 4 hours, one way.
Yeah, had you told me it was in Detroit, because I thought it was just I want to go to Michigan. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was just Michigan too. I didn't know it was
and then a
Detroit.
week before, I was like, oh, it's in Detroit? Great.
Yeah, so we had a little bit of a trip. And don't get me wrong, it was a fun trip. We listened to a couple albums. We might even be able to talk about those albums in future episodes. We went to I went to a Bob Evans for the first time in my life.
Yep.
Yeah. Comfort food.
We treat strangers like friends and friends like family. Bob Evans.
Did he say that?
Yeah, it's a quote on the wall.
I didn't see that. We stopped by a local donut shop called Sweetwater Donut Shop, not to be confused with the music retailer.
Yeah.
Because the service at Sweetwater is notoriously very helpful and kind, and the service that we got at the donut place, dude didn't want to be there. Dude was straight up like it was the angriest individual that I had seen in like a long time. And what's crazy is it didn't even seem like it was that busy. Like it was like there was like a couple of kids like already seated and they had ordered their donuts or whatever. They had a lot of their donuts left, which leads me to believe that like not a lot of people had come in up to that point.
Yeah.
And he was just like, all right, what can I get you? And I was like, can we get a half dozen? He was like, what? And I was like, can we get a half dozen? And we ended up seeing a billboard for their Milky Way donut, which is it's like kind of based on the candy bar. It's got caramel, it's got like chocolate fluff, and it was a chocolate cake donut. It was pretty good. I know this isn't about the concert, but I want to talk about the donuts for a second because
it's the whole Detroit experience.
Yeah, right. So we got 6 donuts. We each got a Milky Way donut because obviously that was the billboard, so we had to humor ourselves. And then I got a grasshopper donut and a New York cheesecake donut. And then David, do you remember what?
A vanilla nut and Homer Simpson, which I took one bite, and that was it.
It was also at the very end of the night at 3 a.m. is when you took the bite of the Homer Simpson donut. Yeah. I made sure to take off the parts of the donut that you had bit though, and I finished the donut for you.
How was it?
It was okay.
It was mega stale.
It was just a strawberry donut.
It was mega stale. That's why I didn't eat it.
That's it. So we did that, and then we drove into Detroit, and we park in a parking lot for $7 all day, flat rate. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool for like a big city. We can walk to anywhere. And we start walking through Detroit, and we're in Greektown. On the way there, we found out that there's a Mexican town. Like it's a town, and it's a part of Detroit called Mexican Town, which I don't know how that name hasn't been changed. But apparently Jack White, the musician from the White Stripes, he's from Mexican Town.
It's just Detroit. I don't know. I think because if there's a notable person section on Wikipedia, it's like they want to put someone there. Like, oh, he was born in Detroit. Let's stick him in there. I don't know. Maybe he went to school there. I don't know, but whatever.
I mean, I think it's the same as saying like, someone from Chicago, like you were born in Bucktown. Like it's just like a part of Detroit.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily its own like town. But anyway, so we park and we start walking, and like we walk through like a casino for a second, and like there's just something about the part of, like downtown Detroit that we walked through that was like, it made me feel icky a little bit. I don't know.
It was very much like Chicago, but with a lot less tall buildings. But there was like that main street that had like most of everything on it, and that wasn't terrible. But everything else around it was just really shitty. Like there was just a drum set hanging out by a store, and someone just sat on it and started playing. People screaming across the street. Same exact shit like you see at every city.
There were a lot of discarded like electric scooters that that you could tell were like supposed to go back into like stations.
Nashville was the same shit. Left.
Yeah. It's you notice it a lot more when there aren't all of the big buildings to look up at, and there weren't nearly as many people walking around. Like in Chicago, downtown Chicago, you're going to see like, 1,000 people if you look any direction. But in downtown Detroit, it's like maybe 100 people, if that. And, when the streets are that big, it looks like a lot less people. We also couldn't find a fucking bathroom.
Yeah.
Same shit, different city. It's like,
dude,
all we wanted was to go to the bathroom before the show.
Just on the topic of Detroit itself, after the show, we tried to, we're looking for food. And what was it? Burger World popped up.
Burger Planet.
Burger Planet. We were like, oh, you want to take an adventure? Try to go to Burger Planet?
Yeah, because I was like, we could go to McDonald's, we can go to Wendy's, or we can go to Burger Planet. And I've never heard of this place before. And I punched it into the GPS because I saw it. It was like, I searched up fast food near us, and Burger Planet was an option. Oh, very briefly. And I couldn't like pinch in and pinch out to like see it again. So we're driving through Detroit, and we're trying to find Burger Planet.
Dude, yeah, it was taking us like along these suburban parts, and I was like, what is this place? Just like some dude's house? And like as we got closer to it, the pin was actually just some guy's house. And dude, this street, like whenever you think of like ghetto Detroit, whatever you're picturing, it was exactly like that. I was like, dude, let's get the fuck out of here. Because it was really bad. There's no lights. Everything around looked shitty. I was like, fuck this. Let's go. Get out of here.
Well, and there was, like, we turned the corner, and I think I saw, like police headquarters.
Yeah.
Like, there's, like, a big-ass police station, like, down the street from Burger Planet. So I don't know what came first. I don't know if it was like a chicken and the egg situation where like, I don't know. Maybe it's because the police are around so often that like, it's a shitty part of Detroit because it's like, or if it was the other way around. I am in no place to judge. I'm just going to assume, that the Detroit police are at fault here. So if there are any Detroit police officers listening, do better, guys. Bring back Pizza Planet. Sorry, Burger Planet. Yeah, Pizza Planet. I don't think Andy and his toys lived in Detroit, Michigan.
I don't think so. I don't think so either.
But
yeah.
So rewinding back to the concert. Now we can finally talk about the concert. So after walking around Detroit for a little bit, waiting for the doors to open, we went to a club called The Shelter, which I guess is a pretty infamous club in Detroit, Michigan. I looked it up. I don't know if it was the exact club where they filmed it, but at least Wikipedia said that it was the music venue that inspired the music venue in 8 Mile, where Eminem had his like rap battle with Anthony Mackie at the end. So that's cool. Like I said, I don't know if that's where they filmed it, but that would be cool if it was.
Yeah, apparently, John Mayer played there at some point.
Yeah, John Mayer played there. Queens of the Stone Age played there. Alanis Morissette, I feel like. Maybe I'm making that up. But there are a couple of notable performers that have been there, and it's a small club.
Yeah.
It's literally just a basement.
It's hard to believe because it was like under a church or some shit.
Yeah, so it's St. Andrew's. I don't know if it's St. Andrew's Church, but they just call it St. Andrew's. And you go around the back because the front doors don't lead to the venue. And you wait in this line outside the venue because, again, it's just a basement. You have all of the metal detector and the, checking people like happens on the outside of the venue. And then you just walk down a set of stairs and then you're there. And then you're in the venue. And it's so weird. But yeah, they have merch set up right as you walk in. They have a bathroom. They have a full bar. And then they have, like, I'm assuming the green room in the back. Because then there's the stage. And that's the whole room. So it's very small. It feels very intimate. Yeah, the bill was Insignificant Other, started the night off, followed by a band called Pool Kids, who we've also talked about on the show, and then ended with Origami Angel. And I think the show itself ended at like 11:30.
Yeah,
maybe 11. Yeah. Origami Angel played for an hour, and the other two bands played for about like 35, like 40 minutes. And they were like on time too. Like all three bands started like right when they were supposed to, which was very cool. Yeah, it's technically your second like punk show ever. Pop punk, whatever you want to call it. What were your general impressions of the night?
I always wondered what happens when people crowd surf when there's no like fence in the front and like security people like in front of the stage. Yeah. Because the whole security was like two dudes.
Yeah.
In this sold out show, and like I said, there's nothing preventing you from getting to the stage. There's no bar, nothing, and people are crowd surfing. I'm like, what happens? And they just kind of float around for a bit until they're like, all right, put me down, and then they go down. But some people do make it to the stage, and like one of the dudes had to go up on stage and like get them on there, which I thought was kind of funny. People were like going to the stage and jumping to the crowd, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the bands themselves go, I really hate bands with gimmicks. I say while I'm wearing one of the most famous bands with a gimmick.
Yeah, right.
But I hate gimmicks. And they come out on stage wearing the same white shirts. And I'm like, oh my God, why? And then the shirt comes out in like a bunny costume. I'm just like, oh jeez, dude. I don't know. Yeah. I think it's stupid. But they played fine,
yeah.
I just didn't know any songs.
Insignificant Other or / Insiggy Baby. We didn't really listen to a whole lot of their stuff. Their one album that they have, I think it's called I Like the Way That I Think About You, or I don't know, it's written on a cake. It's a cool album cover. But the recording quality is very simple. Like, it's not a very refined album, so it's kind of like, not that it's hard to listen to, it'd be like listening to like the first Ramones album, right? Like, it's not, super high fidelity. Yeah, we definitely listened to Pool Kids and Origami Angel a lot more. So I didn't know any songs by Insignificant Other either.
You know what it was? You know why I hate bands in uniforms? Because there was one band we saw back in the Clannamatrix days who walked on stage, and they were wearing that like tuxedo like shirt, where it's like a tuxedo design, but it's not a real tux. It's just like a shirt.
It's just like a t-shirt.
Yeah, and they show up. All of them are in this fucking tux shirt, and they're just the most generic fucking band. They're doing like this shit, And I was like, oh my God.
This shit?
Yeah, pit, open a pit, circle up, or whatever.
Right.
I think that's what ruined it for me. I was like, you mother.
It's just one. It only takes one band.
All it takes is one.
Yeah, but I think Insignificant Other, they played pretty well. Technically speaking, like on a proficiency level, yeah, they're all good. There was a bit towards the middle. There was one of their songs where you think there's going to be a drop, and then the singer gets on the piano and starts playing this really like simple little like piano riff, and then looks out to the audience, and everyone's like, ah, and they give us a smile because they're like, ah, yeah, we got you, motherfuckers. So that was cool. They brought the singer from Insignificant Other on stage for Pool Kids, one of Pool Kids' songs. That was kind of cool. Apparently they've toured together before, so that's cool to know. Yeah, and then Pool Kids got on, and they just released a record like a couple months ago. So they played a lot of songs off that. And I really like that album. I know, David, you're a little bit more lukewarm to the album. Did seeing them live change your opinion about the band at all?
Not really.
Yeah.
Like they're fun in the moment, but like, I don't know. I'm very particular. Like, besides like typical rock or metal genres, anywhere else, I usually have one band for that genre. Like Origami Angel, for instance, they're like their style and like all these other bands that we like listen to or songs. I'm like, if I want to listen to that kind of song, I'll go to them.
Yeah.
Like Tech Death is another thing. Like I only listen to one Tech Death band, and that's the Faceless. So it's like, because it all kind of sounds the same. So if I'm gonna listen to it, I'll just go to them. All I need is one band.
Sure. That's fair, and that's Curtis Connor mentioned this on one of his podcasts. How like, and he mentioned it in his stand-up show too. He's like, stop showing me new music. I don't want to listen to new music anymore. I'm just gonna continue listening to the same shit that I always do, or I'm just gonna listen to the radio. And it's like when you get to a certain age, it's a lot harder to like be enthusiastic about new shit. So something's got to grab your attention. I like the way that Pool Kid sounds. I really like their dynamic writing, just the way that they interweave different sections and different volumes. It kind of reminds me of like the Nirvana method, where it's like quiet. Is it like quiet, loud, quiet?
Yeah.
Pool Kids does that a little bit, but they also have their like pop punky anthems that have like the like pop punk. I feel like is all about having a line, where like all the instruments drop out and then you just scream it at the top of your lungs, and then it's like the whole audience can kind of like chant along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all about how like it sucks to be young, or it sucks to start getting older, or it sucks to like be stuck in your hometown. Oh hell yeah, I'm not working this Friday. Woo! My schedule just got put out for work.
Nice.
And I was gonna call Friday off anyway because I have a concert that I'm going to go see on Thursday. I'm gonna go see Philip Phillips, but this is not about Philip. Sorry, Philip, Mr. Phillips. So Pool Kids, all in all, pretty good. I think the night just kept getting better because then Origami Angel comes out, and the hype is real, dude. It's just like the two of them. They put on their banner behind them, and then they start with 24-hour drive-through. But they started with like a section from a different song that was like super heavy, and then from there on, it was just like really quick. Like they went through their songs really, really quickly, and it was just like one after another. The crowd was super into it, obviously. David, you had a particular experience.
I was really into it for a bit.
Yeah.
The pit was in front of us.
The pit was in front of us. Yeah, we were about like halfway.
We were halfway because we were waiting how long at the Pool Kids merch?
Yeah, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because I think the bassist was the one doing their merch. Whereas like Origami Angel
up there when I went in, because I went in before you, and she was there.
Yeah, and then she left for some reason, probably some band reason. But I had to ask the person doing the merch for Insignificant Other, which I think was the drummer.
Yeah.
And they were, I asked them like, hey, are there separate lines for each, merch table? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. So you and I stood at the front of the Pool Kids merch table for like probably half an hour. Cause I was like, there's no way they're going to have a shirt in extra large, like by the end of the show. Like I'd rather get it now. But yeah, that meant that we had to sacrifice like decent, seats.
Spots, yeah. Because the way Origami Angel sets up, like the drummer is like way off to the side, not in the middle. And from where we were, all we can see was the guitar man, Ryland.
Yeah,
I think his name is. It's all we can
Ryland.
see. And kudos to him, man. Like he by himself basically is fucking
right.
Getting all these people like riled up,
Yeah, it's insane because it's just two of them.
Yeah.
And I think they use backing tracks for additional like background vocals and the harmony, and like as their show gets bigger, or as their audience gets bigger, their show has to get bigger, I could tell that by the end of the set, like Ryland's voice was going a little bit because there were a couple of like, wild notes, every once in a while. But like, there was a whole set. They put out 2 EPs recently, one called Return and one called Arrival, I think. And one is super light and acoustic and soft, and then the other is just hardcore.
Yeah, like far the heaviest shit they've ever done.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to the reasons why David and I we like them for different reasons, but we like them for the same reasons, right? Like it's like each EP was made for each of us, So I don't know, it was very cool. But they played the entirety of the heavy EP because it's got 3 songs, but it's only like 7.5 minutes in total. Yeah, and so that was all screaming.
Yeah.
So by the end of the show, like I don't doubt that Ryland was like struggling a little bit, like voice wise. But at that kind of show, who gives a shit? It's not like Mariah Carey or like Ariana Grande or Panic at the Disco. Who, that's a whole other funny story. People are buying tickets to go see Panic at the Disco, and they're filming it, and like it's the worst live show I've ever seen. It's just like Brendan Urie is singing like terribly, and he's trying to hit all these high notes, and it's super embarrassing to like listen to, and nobody in the crowd is like moving an inch, and it's like stadiums that he's like playing, and the crowd looks like,
oh wow,
yeah, it's terrible. But Origami Angel doesn't have any issues like that. They were hyped the entire time. People loved them. We loved them. Now, here's a question. Did you enjoy seeing them more as a headliner or as an opener?
Probably headliner because they played longer, but we got way too sidetracked. I was in the middle of telling this goddamn story.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right, yeah, they were playing a song called 666 Flags, which is one of the few that I really, really know. And like the song ends with these crazy blasted shit. Like it's a crazy ass ending. So I got into the pit for that. And I was like, headbanging and shit. And some guy like got pushed or something, but he went right into my fucking face. And like
what part of him went into your face? Was it like
I don't know. I couldn't see because my fucking hair was in front of me. I couldn't really see anything.
Right.
So I just got whacked hard as fuck in my face. So much so that it started to bleed. And I had to spend a lot of song in the bathroom with a fucking tissue in there. And it still hurts. It's been a couple days and I can still feel that shit. It sucks.
Yeah, bloody noses are no joke. But yeah, speaking of the bathroom, it was one of those bathrooms, thankfully you're okay and it wasn't like super serious. Have y'all ever been to a bathroom that has a trough? A trough?
Trough, yeah.
Trough? Yeah, like baseball stadiums will I think Wrigley Field has a trough. Maybe either that or Soldier Field. But instead of having dedicated urinals, it's just a drain with like ice on top. Very weird. It was the first time that I had peed in a trough in a while. Anyway, Yeah, they played a couple of songs while we were in the bathroom, but it wasn't anything that we couldn't hear, you know. And I honestly feel like getting to see the show from the back of the venue too, like it didn't make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
Like you could see just as much because like the stage wasn't really elevated, and like it was just standing room only, you know. Whereas like if we had gone to the bottom lounge, that stage is like 5 feet up.
Yeah.
Right. So like when you stand right next to the stage, like anywhere you are in the room, you can see the band very clearly. Which is partly why like I was driving, you know, yesterday. I had a show yesterday in Mokina, and I was thinking about, man, the Origami Angel show is happening right now in Chicago. And you know, and we're not there, but we got to see him in Detroit. So overall, it was a really fun concert experience. I think part of that is like the trip to Detroit, and then, you know, we had to drive 4 hours back. And even with a time change, we only got back to Illinois at 3 a.m., which would have been 4 a.m. Michigan time.
Fucked me up, fam.
And how I managed to stay awake that whole time, I have no idea.
Like the whole last half of the ride, we're just like listening to the nerd.
Yeah, because I realized very early on in the drive, oh shit, I can't just listen to music. I have to watch YouTube videos, or I have to put them on in the background because they let me focus a little bit more. I feel like when it's music, especially music that I know, there's like a rhythm to it, and like it's very easy to like it's easy to be lulled by like music and like, you know, drums and stuff. So I was like, I need to hear someone talking and making jokes and like yelling and stuff.
Yeah.
So first I was watching Drew Gooden videos, and then we switched to Angry Video Game Nerd because I was like, I got like 2.5 hours left of this drive. I have to watch like 6 YouTube videos. I do that all the time at home. When I just need to kill time, I just watch a bunch of YouTube videos. And so David, you popped up awake a couple of times. And that's also partly why I put on the nerd, was because, you know, I feel like that would keep you up a little bit, and that would keep me up by proxy. So,
yeah, I'm done with Cars. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Last week,
ironic,
you know, 7.5 hours both ways. A week later, 8 hours in one day. I'm done.
Welcome to the Too Bad We Didn't Get into Cars podcast. This is why we didn't get into Cars, is because we can't do it.
I'm staying the hell out of them for a while.
Yeah, too bad I got to drive like an hour and a half to Indianapolis on Thursday. I mean, it's fine. It'll be the day after my birthday. It'll be a fun time. So, you know, I might talk about that next episode, but we got to move on to our next topic.
Oh,
so we got to move on.
We totally forgot they played goddamn Gary Come Home on the house music.
Oh,
funny as hell.
Yeah, before Origami Angel went on in between bands, they played Gary Come Home from SpongeBob. And there was a guy that was standing in front of us with his partner, I think, and he hears me singing the Gary Come Home, and he turns around and he's like, Gary Come Home. And I had a moment with a stranger, and it was very nice.
Oh, then there was the dude like a little bit to the right in front of us. He was like,
oh my God.
He was like on Tinder holding his phone up, like swiping, and every time he got a match, everyone was like, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I should have taken that opportunity to like whip out my phone and film that, because that's the funniest shit. Yeah. Oh my God, that I feel like, yeah, missed opportunity. That could have been a viral video.
But yeah, speaking of house music, because the first time we saw them, they played Gen 4 music on the house music.
Yeah, they played the lake theme. The it's one of my favorite themes in Pokemon, because it's so chill, and it's got like a very lo-fi vibe to it. It's the it's so cool. And they played that, and I remember when we went to go see that show, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl had recently come out, and so someone in the audience was like, Gen 4! But they didn't do that this time, probably because, you know, it was a longer set. They probably like didn't need that much in between time. They could probably just talk to the audience. You know, Rylan did that a couple of times.
Yeah.
But Yeah, would you go see them again?
Absolutely.
100%. 100%. And I'm glad that this band exists in both of our lives, because now it's another thing that we get to share, and it's just like, not to get too cheesy, because I know you're lactose intolerant.
No, I'm not. That ended a while ago.
I
don't know.
Then I'll fucking be as cheesy as I want.
I don't know what happened, but there was like a month where I couldn't do dairy, but that went away a long time ago. I don't know what happened, but
yeah, I called him my best friend after our 4 a.m. drive. He was walking back to his condo, and I was like, "You're my best friend, motherfucker." Getting cheesy on you.
I don't remember what I said. Dude, I was fucking gone.
Yeah, we both passed out as soon as I got home. But anyway, so Gen 4, we're talking Pokemon Gen 4 today, which was the last generation that both you and I were really aware of.
This was
like when it came
end
out.
of like the childhood era.
Yeah, so it was 2007, I think. So we were in like 5th grade. And this was like the middle school Pokemon era.
Goddamn Clayton, bro. I'll never forget.
Yeah, I
told you a story, right?
Yeah, we had a classmate named Clayton.
Dude, every time I think about Diamond and Pearl, I still remember when they came out, sitting in like the lunchroom, and Clayton walks up to me, puts it right in my face. He's like, "I got Pearl version." Every time.
Yeah. Now, shout out Clayton.
Fuck you, Clayton.
I know it's been a while. The
last time I saw him was when I was looking for apartments with Josh, because he was at the Panera Bread that we were at.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Man, you didn't say a goddamn word.
Yeah. But anyway, Diamond and Pearl.
What are you supposed to do?
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, Diamond and Pearl, I remember they were the first games that I was super aware of the marketing for. I remember seeing the starters all over the place. I gotta look up the name of that magazine, but there was a Disney magazine that came out. Was it Disney Adventures? Yeah, and there were a lot of ads for video games and things that I was super into in this magazine. I remember drawing the starters and the box art legendaries before the games came out. It was a big deal. And they were also the first. Yeah, holy shit, Disney Adventures. Oh man, what a wild ride, dude. Yeah, as a monthly magazine aimed at grade school kids. Yeah, and they announced in 2007 that they would cancel the magazine. Weirdly enough, that was the exact year that Diamond and Pearl came out. Wow. Anyway, so I was super hyped for these games. They were the first DS Pokemon games, mainline Pokemon games, to use the stylus, the 2 screens, and this is one of my favorite generations. Just because I like Sinnoh a lot. I have a lot of fond memories of playing Pearl. That was the game that, I had played the hell out of Sapphire, but I also played the hell out of Pearl. Both of those games were my jams. The Pokédex was really cool. There were a lot of legacy evolutions. Gliscor, Magmortar, Electivire, Mamoswine, Rhyperior, yeah. Just a lot of it did what Gen 2 did in a way, where it gave a lot of older Pokemon new life. Togekiss, oh my god. Gallade. And it was so cool because I don't know. It felt like Pokemon was growing up with us, because the design started getting cooler, and middle school boys, could get back into Pokemon and blah blah blah. I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass, but do you have anything special to say about Diamond that we can't also say about Platinum?
For as much time as I put into Diamond, I sure don't remember it a lot.
Yeah, I remember Snowpoint City.
Yeah,
I remember.
I was gonna say Snowpoint City is always the one that sticks out to me because it was like the first time you saw like a season in Pokemon, you know?
Yeah.
And like walking through the snow, and then like you drop a little bit when it gets like a little deeper.
I remember Rock Climb. Rock Climb is still to this day a really dumb move, but I taught it to my Lucario. I remember I gave him Rock Climb.
Yeah, bro. I remember popping in, Emerald or whatever in the bottom, and you can import the Reggies, and you go get Regigigas. That was really cool.
Yeah, Regigigas.
But yeah, other than that,
I feel like the Pokegear. Was it the Pokegear or the Pokenav?
Gear. Nav, I think, is the Hoenn one.
Yeah. The Pokegear was really cool. I remember just fucking around with the Pokegear a lot. You know, you had like all these different apps. I would play with the little drawing, the PictoChat one. You had a calculator.
Yeah, so fun.
Yeah, you had a map which you used like while you were running around to find, like the Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf and like the roaming Pokemon.
I always had it on the step one for some reason.
Yeah, there was always one that you would have it on. I don't know if I had it on the step one, but I definitely used it when I tried to hatch eggs.
I even remember maxing it out.
Yeah, the 999,000.
Yeah, and then
999.
Starting again, I don't know. Just neat little thing you can do on the bottom of the screen,
Yeah, I also remember you could add stickers to your Pokeballs.
Yeah.
So you can have. That was really cool. Yeah, it was just like.
And the underground.
It was
I love the underground.
Oh my god, the underground. God damn, dude, that and the game Spectrobes. I don't know if you remember Spectrobes, but there were also like fossils in that one. I loved just digging for shit in Diamond and Pearl. Oh man, it was so cool. Yeah, a couple of cool legendaries. I think Heatran is one of the worst designed Pokemon. It's so ugly. Cresselia is one of the coolest Pokemon from Gen 4. I just like that it's a bunch of crescent moons. Yeah, Lucario is like the first Pokemon that like. Or no, Absol. It's like the Absol of that generation where it's like, is this a rare Pokemon?
Yeah,
and then
you think it's legendary, but it's not.
Yeah, like every generation has one. But Lucario still remains really cool to this day. Who else? Yeah, Regigigas you mentioned.
Yeah.
I really like Palkia. I used Palkia a lot on my team. I started with Infernape because obviously I started with Torchic the generation before and Cyndaquil the generation before that, so I was a fire guy for sure.
The gods of time and space are pretty cool. That's what Palkia is, right? Space?
Yeah, Palkia is space. Spatial Rend and Roar of Time.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you could feel the scope of the games getting bigger. Team Galactic was cool. I don't know if Cyrus is a cooler villain than Maxie or Archie or Giovanni, but he's cool in his own right. Yeah. And then we have Platinum, which continued the trend of, the third game in the series.
I mean, it ended.
Yeah, and it ended it. Funny enough, seeing as this is our Halloween episode, Platinum is probably like the spookiest Pokemon mainline game because the main focus is on the
Distorted World.
The Distorted World. Yeah, that was... I remember they showed that in all the commercials. And you only got to go in there once and it was towards the end of the game. And it was like, yeah, I guess we have to show how this is different from the last one.
Yeah.
They also added a Battle Frontier in Platinum, not nearly as good or memorable as the Hoenn one. But Giratina getting a new form, I think Origin form Giratina is so much cooler than regular Giratina. It's just a snake.
Is that the one where he's on legs or the floating one?
Yeah, it's the floating one, the Origin form. It's so much cooler. They gave Shaman a new form. So Shaman is like a flying dog now and its eyes changed.
Yeah.
But other than that, I Oh yeah, and then your costumes. You get like winter outfits as the default costume. That was kind of cool. But yeah, other than that, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, pretty memorable. I played them a lot, but I can understand why kids don't really care too much about that generation anymore, especially since the remakes are so bleh. Whereas like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, we'll get to those eventually, but they were really good remakes. I played a lot of those. So anyway,
then we got
with our last couple.
Then we got our Johto remakes, which frankly, absolutely like top tier Pokemon games.
They might be like my favorite. It's gonna be it. This is a hot take. I really like Gen 7. I really like Sun and Moon. But I think from a pure like full package experience, like SoulSilver and HeartGold. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like it just takes all of the reasons why Gen 2 was such a good advancement, like Gold and Silver were really good sequels to Red and Blue. And HeartGold and SoulSilver just like, oh man, it just made everything about those games even better. You had the new sprites, Pokemon could walk behind you, you could interact with them. You had fighting Red in like Gen 4 graphics. You had the compatibility with the Game Boy games.
You know what I think was really cool? The fact that you can re-battle gym leaders. Like you
could just go back to their gyms.
You find them like in the world. They'd have their hangout spot. You talk to them at a certain time, and then they'd go to the Saffron City gym, like the one next to it.
Yeah.
And I used to have like a browser, like a site saved that tells you exactly like what time they are. I don't know. I just like having them all in one room. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna flex a little bit. These games now go for like.
Oh, what, you gonna make me get mine too?
Do you have yours? Oh my god, well get it, dude. So you know how new like in the box copies of these games, any Pokemon games go for insane amounts of money online. This is the original box for Pokemon Soul Silver. I don't know where my Pokewalker is. I think I still.
That's bad.
It's not in the box, but I have everything else in the box.
I still have my Pokewalker.
In there?
Yeah.
Oh, my Pokewalker's in here too.
That would devalue it hardcore, bro.
Yeah, it's still got the Pokewalker. It's got the original case, the instruction manual, the DS, the warning booklet.
Yeah.
And it hangs very proudly on my bookshelf. This is probably. I remember we went to go get these games together. Do you remember that?
I remember the day. That's crazy. Yeah. It was like what, 2010?
Yeah, it was 2010. We went to the GameStop in Crestwood, and my mom drove us. And I think we pre-ordered them. I can't remember.
I think one of us actually traded some games in for this thing.
Yeah,
but
which at the time was $40.
Yeah,
for everything,
bro. This I see like not even the box version, but just like the normal DS case, at least like $100 just for that.
At least,
but you get the full package. Jeez, this shit's worth a lot. And
yeah, dude, and like the artwork on the package, it's just so cool. It's got this cool finish it's like holographic. I don't know, man.
And the worst part, I can't play this game again. I've only played it the once. Because on my fucking save data, when I bought Platinum, the save on there, this is why you always check the save. This person had like all 3 dogs but shiny. Darkrai, Celebi, I think even Mew. So I traded them to HeartGold, and now I can never restart it because Like, it's got all of them on there. So I've only played it once, but it was legendary.
I mean, I could take those Pokemon and transfer them into a different game.
Yeah, maybe.
And then just trade them back if you want.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think I would honestly go through SoulSilver again.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, just great fucking games. I don't really have any complaints about SoulSilver except for maybe HMs, but
Yeah, rock climb.
other than that, yeah, every time. But it plays really well. Getting to go to Johto and Kanto on the DS is really cool. Yeah, man, they're just superior sequels. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And now I guess we get to talk about other superior sequels.
Yeah.
You want to start with Mystery Dungeon?
Yeah, goddamn. What, Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky. I don't remember which one was the third one. But, yeah, another game that we were so hyped for. And, like,
Yeah.
it absolutely paid off.
Oh yeah, in every way it's better than the original games. And it had the Johto Pokédex. The story was way better. Like the original Red Rescue Team, Blue Rescue Team, they had the bit at the end where like, your partner is like,
just the saddest scene in Pokemon history. Yeah.
yeah. But this game has its fair share of sad moments too. I know you end up meeting a rogue Grovyle, midway through the story, and there's also like another part of the game. It happens in a lot of Mystery Dungeon games where you get exiled from the town and you have no access to, your item box, your other like recruits on the team, and it's just you and your partner. Yeah, I think story-wise it's super interesting. And then yeah, I don't know, man. It was just all of the things that made the original Mystery Dungeon games good, but like done better.
Yeah.
Like they don't. I can't really remember what new they added.
You're the whole time you're like in the Wigglytuff dojo, and every night
right.
you see everyone like chomp down on like the food, which I thought was really cool. But Chatot was a piece of shit.
Yeah, there was definitely more of a sense of like the story was written more intently, right? Like the first one, it was just like you were part of like a wider guild, but it was just you and your partner like living in houses, Whereas this one, it was a whole like fort. It was a whole underground fort of like all of your members. And then there was, the Skuntank team.
Yeah.
It was like Skuntank and Zubat. No, Krogunk.
Man, more games I've only played once. It's time to revisit these, dude.
Yeah. Well, and then Explorers of Sky added like DLC missions where like you could, Bidoof, like he has this whole side story where like he has to leave his village of Bidoofs, and B-Barrels, and he like goes off on his own. And there's a whole side story where you get to play as Grovyle and Dusk Noir, like in that time when your characters leave them and they have to fight together.
Wow, how much is Explorers of Sky run for nowadays?
I have a copy if you want to.
I think I might need to play that.
Borrow mine. Yeah, dude. I started going through it a couple of years ago, and then I couldn't anymore because it was so recently. It was so close to another Mystery Dungeon game that I had played, so I was like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, very good games. And then
remember when you graduate, you have to like fight the whole guild.
Yeah,
man, that was crazy.
Yeah, it was a tough mission. I think I lost a couple of times because I was like, there's just so many. There's so many people you have to take down. Yeah, there's. I'm only gonna start remembering more about those games like after this podcast is over.
Yeah, right.
But you also had Shadows of Almia, which is a sequel to the original Pokemon Ranger. I don't remember much of it, but I do remember asking my mom to buy it for me. And then I remember having a Rhyperior at some point because they had all like the Johto Pokemon in there, but This is where my memory gets a little hazy because I stopped really paying attention to Pokemon around this time.
Yeah. Yeah, this is when things started to fizzle out, like, hardcore.
Yeah, which is a shame, but, like...
Yeah,
and then Pokemon Rumble.
Explorers of Darkness was, like, the last hurrah until fucking Y came out, X and Y, so...
Yeah, and that took... I was like, if that was 2008, then it took, like, 5 years to get back into Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because we missed Black and White, and then Black and White 2. Which, it's a solid 4 years right there, or at least, like, 2 years. But yeah, we graduated from middle school in 2010, and, I didn't play Pokemon for 3 years until Pokemon X came out on the 3DS. I think it was the reason I got a 3DS. But we gotta save that for a different day.
Yeah, Rumble, I don't remember which one I played, but I did play one of them. And honestly, it's a pretty fun party game. Like, it's not one you play by yourself. Like, you play it with, like, a group of people, which I did.
Yeah.
I know, it was pretty fun. You just run around with these little, like, toy-looking Pokemon. And then there's, like, a bunch of, like, different guys you gotta fight. And I don't know. It's just kind of fun. I think it's way more fun than Pokemon Unite. But it's, like, the same idea. Except you don't fight other people. It's just, bots. But it was fun. I liked it.
I like Pokemon Unite. So, don't let David hear me say that.
Yeah. Not even Decidueye can save that game for me.
Yeah. But it's fun. But that's, again, another generation of games. I think Gen 4, I think about it and I get nostalgic, not because I missed that time of Pokemon, but because I remember that was like the last, I didn't realize in the moment, but yeah, I was still super into Pokemon, and I, still felt like a kid, and, I'll always appreciate, Diamond and Pearl and like that generation of Pokemon. I also stopped watching the show after that generation. And
oh yeah.
I guess. Yeah, because it was like, I remember Ash had a Buizel who never evolved. He had a Gliscor. He had a Grotle. He ended up getting an Infernape, but I don't think I got that far.
Yeah, and unlike the games, I never went back to the show. That was it. Forever.
Yeah. Yeah, and the show, I went back and I watched a little bit of Sun and Moon, only because there was a scene that I saw where in the Pokemon Championships, when Ash is fighting Professor Kukui, Ash and Pikachu do essentially what's a Kamehameha together, because they have like a Z move, and Ash does like this motion,
What the hell?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to send that clip to you, but yeah, it was the last time that I was really like a kid into Pokemon. And so next week, or next podcast, whenever we get around to it, but by the time the next podcast comes out, truthfully, we'll either be very close to Scarlet and Violet coming out, or they will have already come out. But we'll try to record it and release it in time. I'm sure we could, as long as we're doing remote, it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But if we can get together, we will. Either way, thanks for listening. Be sure to check out our socials. Check out David's channel. If you're on YouTube, it'll be in the link below, or the description below. Check out my channel. I got music coming out and music videos and stuff like that pretty frequently. And yeah, stay good to each other. Wash your hands. Stay safe, especially as it starts getting colder out.
No one washes hands anymore. That's done.
People wash their hands. What are you talking about?
But as like a safety thing for COVID, no one cares anymore. Let's be real. They stopped caring a long time ago. Yeah, don't touch your face. It doesn't matter anymore.
Well, it is winter time, which means people are getting a lot more sick.
Yeah.
So don't go around touching people's faces.
But you can't touch your own face.
Yeah, you can touch your own face. If you have a huge ego, who touches their own faces? Anyway. See you in the next one.
Happy Halloween, by the way.
Happy Halloween.
This was like the Halloween episode, but we barely even talked about Halloween.
Yeah. That's okay. This isn't the too bad we didn't get into Halloween podcast.
Too bad.
Too bad we didn't get into costumes, you son of a bitch.
Too bad. Yeah, you missed the costume thing this year again. But maybe next year.
That's okay. I mean, we didn't have this podcast last Halloween.
Yeah.
We just got to remember Christmas sweaters for the Christmas episode.
Ugh, I don't even have one.
Oh, my God.
I do have a Santa hat, though. I'll wear the Santa hat.
All right. Notes for a future episode. All right, everybody.
Oh, my battery just died right now. Wow.
I heard it go off, yeah. Bye. That's all, folks.